One sec. Let me get this here.
Hey everyone, welcome to Land Week Day 4. I cannot believe it is Day 4 already. Our focus today, this education module, we're focusing on getting your systems in sync so you can have maximum profitability for your business and equally importantly, maximum efficiency. So we're joined today by Kevin from Pebble. How are you, Kevin?
Great. I'm doing really well. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I really appreciate you joining us. For everybody who is just joining us, the way that Land Week was constructed, the idea behind it is we wanted to create a week-long series of educational modules that kind of build one on another to help you either A, go from 0 to 250K a year with your land business and do so efficiently, or B, if you're already kind of getting there, but you really need to gap fill for your business so you can take that next step and start to scale up, to also have the advice and the action items that you need to get that done. So on Monday, we had Seth Williams from RE Tipster. All of the replays from these from Land Week are available in Launch Control's YouTube channel. If you just go to the live section, you'll see replays for everything there. And then Kevin, I believe you guys are also streaming this live on your channel, or you have the option to. You'll see it up at the top.
Yeah, I don't believe we're streaming it live, but we will probably be posting it.
Okay, yeah, so we'll get the replays out there via Pebble as well. If you're a Pebble follower, you can get the replays. And Kevin, I'll send you the replays from the other workshops as well if you want to share those. But just to go over everything, everyone, Monday, we had Seth Williams from RE Tipster on. He was talking educational resources, how to know where to find those resources, what to kind of eliminate that aren't going to be helpful, and then kind of really getting into some land business analysis. On Tuesday, we had the guys from Priced come on, Max and Ryan, and we really did a deep dive on market analysis and data analysis so you can get some strategies aligned around that. And then yesterday, we had a really great session with Jaron Barnes from the Land Maverick Society. Jaron went over the importance of community, how to find the right mentor, how to find the right community. He was great. He even did a live call with a seller to offer the price for that particular property, give people an idea of how he communicates with sellers, which I thought was really beneficial. And then today we're going to focus on systems, and then tomorrow we've got Callan Faulkner coming on from REI Optimize, and she's going to talk about all of the latest and greatest AI tools and how to implement those into your business, which after Kevin goes through things in terms of systems today, that'll give you a really good idea of where you can start to plug in those tools to, again, add efficiency for your business. Couple of quick little admin notes before we jump into the conversation today. I put in the top of the chat just a reminder for everyone. It's also in the description for this episode that to connect for a strategy call with the Launch Control team. You'll see the link for that in the top of the chat. Connect with them today, tomorrow. Any questions you have regarding Land Week, or of course implementing text for your business. And then we've got a Facebook group that's open to everyone if you're just looking to gain additional educational resources or network within the REI community. And that's also linked in the chat below. So as we go through this, ask as many questions as you can. Kevin and I will get to them in the flow of the presentation, if possible. If not, we'll save everything for Q&A at the end and make sure that we fill in any question marks that you guys have along the way. All right, Kevin, you ready to jump into this?
Yeah, let's do this. So before we get started, I just want to thank everybody for hanging out today, and we will go through some hopefully pretty good information for you and get you guys all started on optimizing your CRM and your systems for maximum profitability. All right, let me pull up my slides here.
Yeah, and so Kevin, one of the things that we want to go over right away is because a lot of times people are coming into this when they're just building up their business. Mm-hmm. It seems really daunting to look at all the systems of, well, what do I use for CRM and what marketing tools do I use? And when I'm getting into the dispo side of things, do I need to outsource that? Are there plugins on the back end that I need to be thinking about? So for just the general concept of kind of reverse engineering and constructing systems for their business, what kind of guiding advice can you give people just right off the top?
Yeah. So something that we often talk about here at Pebble is having that end goal in mind. What is the business you're trying to build? Are you trying to build a multi-million dollar business that's going to take you into the stratosphere fear, or are you just looking for a side hustle that you can run a few deals a year and sort of have some side income? And having that really clearly defined before you get started is really important. It's really important to have that in mind and really try to figure out what type of business you are trying to build, because that's really going to guide every decision you make. So really important to have that.
Yeah, I'll second that because I think a lot of times people get into real estate investment and what they really want is I love this term is a lifestyle business.
Yeah.
Right? And a lifestyle business is quite a bit different, and the construction of that is quite a bit different than a seven figure and a plus per year generational wealth building business. There's a pretty big gap between
Mhm.
those. And if you know that at least for stage one, what you're really looking to do is just build a lifestyle business. You don't want to report for a job 9 to 5 every day, Monday through Friday. You want to be able to take a Thursday off to hang out with the kids or just hang out by yourself and do what you want. That's quite a bit different than aiming to gain real wealth and to run a real estate investment company where you're employing 7 8 people and you have complicated systems. And so knowing at least what your stages are going in can really help reverse engineer what you need to set up now to achieve those goals.
Yes, exactly. And there's no right or wrong answer. Everyone has a different idea of what they want their business to look like. And it just takes some time to really figure that out for yourself and make sure that you've got that guiding light sort of out in front of you. And I know what I did when I first started out was I just wrote this down. Like I wrote down, what do I want this business to look like a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now? And that might change, but at least you have something set in stone that you can look to. And we'll talk about the importance of writing things down as we go through the systems we'll be doing today. But I find that is really important to do before you get started.
Cool. And yeah, so for everyone listening in, if you don't mind, like put in the chat, kind of let us know what your current aim is. Are you looking to build generational wealth? Are you looking to build a lifestyle business? We can kind of talk around a little bit through this presentation to kind of aim towards what you guys are looking to build if you have that in mind. So pop that into the chat, let us know, and we'll take that into consideration as we move through this. If I were to reply to this, it's going to show up as launch control, so I won't type it in, Kevin. But if you want Michael's response, it's a lifestyle business. That's what I'm most interested in.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, let's get into some of the details here. So to get started, I am Kevin. I'm co-founder of Pebble. My partner Jesse and I started Pebble in 2020, right during COVID, which was an interesting time to start a company. But we've been super lucky to get to work with a lot of land investors and really see the nuts and bolts of what makes their businesses tick. And we've certainly learned a lot on that journey. So before we get started into this, I would also like you to put in the chat, where are you today? Are you just getting started? Are you on the educational journey? Or have you actually gone in and done a few deals? So if you can just put in the chat either getting started, learning, or the number of deals that you've done, that would be great. All right. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so as I mentioned before, this is an important thing to know where you are today, and again where you're looking to get to with your business, and what that goal is going to be. So, like I said, Jesse and I have had the extreme privilege of working with literally thousands of land investors. And we've seen the full gamut of businesses out there, from those, side hustle lifestyle businesses where it's just a single investor and they're just trying to replace an income, all the way up to 10 plus person teams doing multi-million dollars of transactions every year, and really have built mega businesses on top of our platform. And so it's really cool for us to be able to interact with all of those different types of people, because there's very different ways we look at the business, but there are some through lines of what makes a successful investor. And so we're going to talk about some of those things today and how you can start thinking about those things in your business. So, two things that I have really noticed of all of the super successful investors that we've worked with on our platform is two important things: persistence and improvement. So, persistence is probably the number one ingredient to any business working. It's that get out of bed and start working drive. Even when things aren't easy and aren't fun, just that ability to wake up every day, sit down, and put the work in is the number one most important thing about this business. You can not be the most efficient or not be the most perfect, but as long as you're there every day trying to get better, that's going to be the most important aspect of this business. And secondly, is that mindset of continual improvement. Um, when I was first starting out in my business, things were pretty bad. Like I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know all the ins and outs of every deed and real estate transaction, but I knew that with each time I did a deal, I could make myself a little bit better. I could improve things just a little bit here and there so that I can make my business better. And these are really the two most important things that we see in land investors who succeed. It's that persistence and that drive for constantly improving their processes and improving their systems. So systems really are that glue that ties a business together. And it's through those systems that we really build this machine that's going to take us where we want to go. And today we're going to talk about what are systems, why should I care about them, and lastly, how do I get started? How do I get started on that system that's going to optimize this machine to make me the successful land investor that I want to be? So, I want you to think of your business like a bicycle. A bicycle's job is to get us from point A to point B. And if we look at the evolution of the bicycle, we can see that we started out very, very primitive, and we've evolved this machine to something that is super advanced, super highly efficient, lightweight. You can hop on it and go 100 feet with just one kick. Everybody's land business starts out on the 1817 model of the bike here, right? If we look at this thing, no pedals, just a board with two wheels that you sit on and push with your feet. That's what my land business looked like when I got started. And if you're like me, your business looks like that too. So, and again, that's okay. It's okay to be on the ground floor, not have anything set up. The goal is just to get on the bike and start moving. As we start learning, as we start doing deal after deal, we start improving our bike, right? We get some pedals, we get a chain, we get more lightweight materials, better bearings, and eventually our systems, that glue that ties everything together, get more and more free flowing. And our goal here is to try to get that business to be its own flywheel that can get us to point A to point B with as minimal input and as minimal pain from us as possible. So that's really our goal here in designing our business. So when we think about our systems, we need to think about what can we make that is repeatable. The beauty of the land business, and something that really attracted me to it and why I love it so much, is that it is a very repeatable linear process, right? Every deal starts out with outbound marketing. Every deal comes as a lead that I need to manage, that I need to communicate with, I need to track. Every lead turns into an offer. Every offer turns into a signed contract that goes into marketing and sales and repeat, right? There's a very linear flow here. And the beauty of land is that we can make each step in that process very repeatable. We can have a repeatable process for each step in that flow that will get us to that optimal machine that we're trying to build. All right. Secondly, we need to make sure that things are documented. Now, I'm sure you're sitting there as a one man, one woman land investor and saying, why do I need to document my business? I'm the only one doing it. There's no reason for me to be writing these things down because I've got it all in my head. And you're right. For the first little bit, that's probably okay. But here's something that I've really, really learned over the years, and that is the act of documenting what your process is forces you to think about it from sort of a third perspective. You have, if you've heard the mantra that the best way to learn something is to teach it, because when you take that step back and you start thinking about how am I going to communicate my business process to somebody else through like a written piece of documentation, you have to start breaking down your steps of what you do into very concrete linear paths. And it's that process that you start realizing there's some inefficiencies here. There's steps that can be taken out or combined. And so having that documentation mindset and making sure that you're doing that for each step of your business can really help you optimize things. And this doesn't have to be complicated, right? You can just put things in a Google Doc, right? My due diligence process is this, and write down each step. I'm going to call the county and check the back taxes. I'm going to figure out what the zoning is. I'm going to do this. You can have that very documented process and just write that down and have that in some unified place that that you're constantly iterating on, that you're constantly adding to. And down the road, the second very important piece about documentation is that eventually you're going to want to bring somebody in, whether that's, your friend who wants to help you out, or hiring a VA. Having that documentation in place before you do that is going to take you much closer to having that hire be successful. All right.
Yeah, Kevin, I can back you up on that one in particular. Even running a lifestyle business, like you said, even you might want to bring on a VA, something even at that level to help you. And as companies scale up, even a company the size of Launch Control, it's got over 100 employees. You have to have clear documentation because you can't have any processes or systems exist only in the head of a single employee. Because if that gets lost, then that puts you 5 steps behind. And not
Yep.
only do you have to go back and redocument those processes, you then have to educate someone else that's coming in. And a truth that every business owner learns, either knows or learns the hard way, is that no one is ever going to be as invested in your business as you are. So you are going to have some turnover. You are going to have to be able to have different individuals plugged into your systems in order to keep it running smoothly without you having to wear all of the hats. And starting early with this documentation gives you the ability to have that as close to a plug and play replacement as you can possibly get.
Yeah, yeah, super, super important. And if you look at the most successful businesses in the world, you think, McDonald's, for example, every single thing about running a McDonald's restaurant is documented, like to the T, to where when you build a when you want to become a franchisee, they send you like the manual. It is a book that they expect you to read, and every single thing, right? How to unlock the doors in the morning, how to sweep the floors, every single piece is documented in that manual. And our ultimate goal is to do the same for our business. We should have that manual constantly evolving so that when we start expanding, when we start bringing people in, it's a much easier process to do that. Cool. The last thing about systems is that they need to be unified. So, what does this mean? It means that every piece of information within my business needs to have a home. It needs to have one place that it lives, and that piece needs to be that place needs to be known by everybody. So, every time you pull a list, there should be a some place that list lives. That should be also documented where that goes, and there should be a very retrievable format of how that's gonna be. So every list should be in OneDrive, whether that's a Google Drive or something, but some unified place that's gonna live. Every contract that you write, every offer you write, should have a unified place where that's gonna be easily retrievable. Um, and everything that you pull, if you're pulling tax documents from the county, those need to live in a unified place. If you're generating map files for your marketing, those all need to be in a unified place that can be accessed by your team. And why is this important? Well, it's a few things. First, everyone needs to know where to get something. So when a lead calls to buy a property and they're looking for, the flood zone, you need to be able to pull that up very, very quickly. And as long as all that information is stored in a very unified place, that's going to make your job a lot easier. And as long as there's one source of truth for every piece of information, there should be no even thought about where I go to retrieve that. And you should be able to do that very quickly. Secondly, data, as we know, is super, super valuable. And it's valuable not today, but its potential value might be discovered, say, 6 months or a year from now, when your business is in a totally different place as it is today. But you start asking yourself a year from now, hey, what if I could pull a list of every property I've sent a text to who also, is in this type of flood zone with this much back taxes. I want to generate a list that's going to have those things. Well, if your lists from a year ago are like on some USB drive that's you can't find anymore, it's going to be very difficult for you to be able to pull that data a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. And you won't know until you get to that point what you're going to need. So it's really important to start off at the very outset, having that unified database of information so that it's easily retrievable.
Yeah, in like larger sales and marketing organizations, or larger just organizations in general, I really hate all of the cheesy like new business terms that get applied to everything. So I don't like this term, but I like what it intends, which is you need a single source of truth.
Single
Right? And
source of
that
truth.
single source of truth is really, really invaluable because looking, especially as like an organization gets larger, you need to be able to have that 1,000-yard view of the life cycle of a deal flow. So if you're off and your business is humming and you took a 2-week vacation to the Bahamas and you came back and you want to get a glimpse at the progress that your business has made, you want to be able to have that clear timeline view, which I know you're going to get into this a lot when we start sharing Pebble, but being able to say, like, my first touch point was a text message out of launch control. The person replied on this date. We followed this follow-up sequence. We got them onto a phone call on this date. We had a contract offer out by this date. Like, if you're able to follow that full life cycle of the deal all the way through disposition, then it makes it very, very easy from a 1,000-yard view to see the potential gaps in the process. And even if you are running this as a solo entrepreneur, giving yourself that ability to say, well, the person replied on the 30th of January, showed a bit of interest. I missed it and didn't reply till 3 weeks later. I didn't put them on a drip automation. I didn't take advantage of that follow-up. I dropped the ball. And you see that mistake and you course correct, and you never make that mistake again, right? But unless you have that view of those timelines of a deal, that single source of truth, it's a lot harder to identify those gaps. But when you have that, it's just a clear picture, and you can find the course correction areas.
Yeah, well said. All right, so if we take a step back and look at, how are we going to integrate our system with something like launch control? If launch is going to be sending out our text messages and doing our outbound marketing, we need to figure out how we're going to manage those leads as they come in, and how we take that from a qualified lead to a purchase property, and then take that purchase property through a sold property. So everything starts out with outbound marketing, and this is universal, whether you're doing texting or cold calling or mail or whatever it is. We're sending our outbound marketing to potential property owners. And then those property owners are going to be getting back to us in some form. In launch, we're going to have text messages coming back, replies coming back, and we all know how we filter those within launch control. We're either going to qualify those and say this is a qualified lead, or we're going to be saying, this is somebody who's not interested. Maybe it's a do not call. I'm going to be marking that. And then ultimately, I'm going to get to the point where I have a lead, that this is a real lead that I need to start taking through my process. And at that point, we need to bring that into our CRM. And CRM is kind of a loose term. It's what people traditionally call these things. But in Pebble, we consider ourselves a little bit more than just a CRM, where we provide a lot of extra information around specifically for real estate investors. But ultimately, we're going to take that qualified lead from launch control, bring it into Pebble. And now in Pebble, this becomes a deal. And so what I'm going to show here is a little bit of a demo. I think the best way for me to do this, one second here. Let me pull this up. All right.
Your t-shirts reminded me that I need to re-up my launch swag. I used to have lots of t-shirts and stuff, but I wore them all into submission.
Yeah. We've got
ping the team, send me some new stuff.
I've got like 3 seasons worth of hats. So I've got
Nice.
my spring 2022 hat and my summer 2024. So yeah, got the whole
lineup. Nice.
Yeah. All right. So first thing I want to bring up is the ease of which it is to get your leads from launch control over into Pebble. And we have an article on our knowledge base about how to do this. I'll maybe send that in the chat here at the end. But this is there's a very easy way to do this. Basically, from launch control, once you get to that point where you are at the point where you want to qualify a lead and send it to your CRM. It's just one button, and then that will go ahead and create a deal. So what is a deal in Pebble? A deal is really that workflow that you need to take an opportunity, somebody who's reached out to you, and get that to the point where it's a profit that you've made in your business. And the way we like to visualize that is through what we call our board. Our board is going to break down the steps of our process in very concrete actions. So in our first action here is our lead in. Every deal you create from launch control will come into your lead in step here, or stage we call them. And this is where I'm really, in launch control's case, I've already sort of qualified that. So you may just call this like you may just want to bring this straight into due diligence. But I need to now have some process of researching this property. And that's where a lot of this documentation needs to go about what are the tasks associated with that? What do I need to be doing for every deal to make sure that I've done my due diligence process? So if we pull up one of these deals here, we have information about our property and our contact who reached out to us. And then I can make notes about that. But the important thing is our tasks. So our task lists are really that unified step-by-step process that I need to do for every deal. These are evolving things that I can change as I go, but that task list is really the thing that my team needs to focus on to get all of my information done. So I've just created a simple task list here of due diligence. So I need to check if there's an HOA on this property. I need to check if there's wetlands and floods. I need to figure out if it's zoned correctly, verify that there are any back taxes. And some of our customers have literally like 50 items on this checklist. And there's simple things like, double check that the APN is correct. Double check that, the address that they gave is in the proper city, like all of these very simple things. But if you don't have those things documented, it's very easy to drop them and to forget. And then you don't realize, like, until after you've signed a contract, like, oh shoot, this is in the wrong county. And so I need to totally change the way I do this. Important to have all those steps defined right here so you can figure those out. Also, we want to be able to, set some sort of timeline. So I can set due dates for these tasks. So I can very easily say, I expect that my due diligence process is going to get done in these number of days. I've got these tasks that I want to get done on day 1, day 2, and day 3. And I can set those out with due dates so that my team gets notified, and that I get notified when things are getting overdue and what I need to be focused on. So once I've got my tasks and I'm going through, I need to start doing my process of figuring things out about this property. And this is where Pebble kind of steps above the realm of just a CRM. A CRM is a contact relational manager. And contacts are important. They're an important part of Pebble. But what's also important in the real estate is the property. Really, at the end of the day, like, I care more about that property than I do about the person I'm talking to. As long as that person is okay with selling me the property at a certain price, I really want to focus on what is this property? What's it worth? How can I market it? How can I subdivide it? What can I do here? And that's where we try to really focus a lot of our emphasis on in Pebble. So from here, I can pull up information about neighboring properties. I can go into 3D mode and check out the the satellite views and figure out what my slope is looking like on different areas, and really sort of hone into that specifics about that property. And we've got tons and tons of videos about how this all works. I won't get into all the details here today. But then we've got all the information that I need to gather, right? This can be part of my due diligence. I need to check the elevation. When was it last purchased? What's its use code, flood zone, back taxes, all of this information. And I can customize all of these things to my business, because for every land investor cares about different things. Somebody buying property in New Mexico is going to have very different data requirements than somebody buying property in Florida with all the flood zone issues. Not too many flood zones happening in New Mexico. So there's lots of different things. So you can customize all of this information, things that you're capturing, to really focus on the specifics of your business. And then we can start doing things like creating offers. And like I said before, we want to make sure that all of our documents are in the same place. So if I generate an offer here that I'm going to send to my seller, let's say I'm going to buy this property for $3,000. I can go here and generate my document very quickly. I can have all of that information pre-populated about the property, what I'm going to offer for it, what the APN is, all the legal description. You can have this all preset for you. We offer a library of templates, but really important to have all of that information in there so that you're not, I can remember copying and pasting things into Word documents all day. And multiple times I forgot to replace the legal description. And then the title company is like, hey, this is like the legal description for a property that's like 200 miles away. Like, what is this? And so having Pebble pre-populate that information for you, it goes a long way to eliminating those mistakes. So I can go here, create my document.
Jump in really quick, because I think that's a huge benefit especially for people that are just building out their systems, to have that library available of templates. I mean, that's I think one of the early fear factors for people is, well, what do I say in the contracts? What legal things do I need to look out for? So to have that pre-built in and be able to kind of peruse through there and find what fits for your business, that's a huge win for people, I think.
Yeah. And when I was first starting out, I was in the same boat. I was just like, okay, somebody wants to, sell me this property. Let me Google a random contract. It is still important to eventually learn what all these contracts mean. Probably makes sense to hire a lawyer and go through those and make sure that they're working in the states that you're working. But at least you can get started with something from our library to get off the ground running. Okay, so I can generate my document, save that. That's going to do all the PDF wizardry and get this thing saved. And then it's going to add it to my document list on this property. And this is sort of that unified database, right? I've got my offer. It's going to track when I sent that offer, what price I gave them. I've got my document here that it's attached to. As I start taking photos of the property, I upload them into here. As I make my sale, I can document that here. I can have my conversations going with my title agents. All of that stuff is going to be tracked on the deal. I can be communicating with my team, so I can quickly, mention somebody and say, hey, take a look at this one, send that off. And very, this now is becoming our hub. It is our central database of all of our information. All of our documented tasks that need to happen are all happening within here. I've got all of my contracts, all of my purchase and sales. We roll all of this stuff up onto your dashboard so that you can see, what are my ROIs for each property? What is my long-term returns for this quarter, this year, last year? And this is really all about building that machine that can track all this stuff, that can get you to where you want to go, and then have that long-term mindset in place so that 2-3 years from now, when my business looks totally different, I can still go back and say, all right, what did this deal look like 2 years ago? What did I do in this scenario? Maybe I've got a new property that's coming up in the same area. I want to look at what did I pay for that? What were the issues that I was talking about on that deal? Having that all in one place is super, super important. And so when you're building your CRM, regardless of whether you're going to use Pebble or something else, I would just encourage you to make sure that you are tracking all of that information and holding that all in one place. Cool. So that's just a little bit about Pebble. I just scratched the very, very surface of what we have. We didn't talk about auto follow-ups and communications and all the other different mapping features that we have. But this sort of gives you a hint of what is there. And I'm really proud of the integration that we have with Launch Control, because we think that Launch Control is the premier platform for doing texting. And if you're going to go that route, we think that it's best to do that with Launch Control, bring those deals into Pebble, and Pebble can sort of take things from there.
Kevin, we have a question from Sarah F.
Yeah.
I think this is a good one. What if the lead is not coming from Launch Control? Mailer leads, calls coming into Pat Live, how does that populate?
Yeah, so Pebble has what we call a unified inbox. And let me, I can share this again real quick. Here we go. So yes, so if you're coming from Launch Control, yes, things will go into a deal because you've already qualified that in Launch Control. But if you're getting leads from elsewhere, maybe you're doing mailing campaigns at the same time, maybe you're doing Pat Live like you've mentioned, you can set up Pebble with what we call our inbox. The inbox is really where everything comes into. So with Pat Live, you'll have them filling out a form. You can do that right through your inbox here. You can set that form up for Pat Live. We have some video tutorials about how to do that. And then every submission that Pat Live does will land in your inbox. And I don't know if I have any here. No, it doesn't look like I have any in this demo account, but all of those submissions will come right into your inbox. You'll qualify those. Not every Pat Live submission is going to be valid. Sometimes it's just people just randomly talking to Pat Live that aren't actually selling a property. So you'll want to qualify that somehow and determine, is this a deal or is this something that I just need to pass on? So once you do that, then you create your deal. And this Pebble can handle any piece of communication that you have, whether you're giving people your email address. We've got emails that can come into here. Calls, we have, every account comes with a free phone number so that you can make calls, receive calls, and those calls will come right in here to your inbox. We have those lead forms, like I mentioned. If you have you can set up a website. We'll set one up for you, or you can use your own website if you have one on Wix or Squarespace or something, and you can drop one of our lead forms right on your website so that you potential sellers who come to your website can fill out that lead form. That submission will land right here in your inbox, and then you can take it from there. So the inbox is really where all of your communication lands and then goes on to becoming a deal.
So Kevin, I know we're not going to go into a deep dive in terms of setting the automations and the follow-up within the system, but in terms of best practices, or not even best practices, in terms of just realistic usage of the CRM, how long or what is the time frame that most land investors actually engage in follow-up with landowners through the system?
Yeah, so we always tell people the faster that you can communicate, the better. We have some of our top users, those $1 million companies. They have KPIs about first response time, and they're constantly driving that down to as low as possible, so that when they get a text message, they should have somebody on the phone with that person within like 5 minutes. And so So yeah, it's important to, as quickly as possible, be reaching out to these people. And some of the automated follow-ups that we have, you can do that automatically. You can you can have those responses go out as soon as somebody lands in your inbox, or you can make that sort of a manual process, but just have somebody there who's ready to get on the phone and start talking to that person, because it's likely that person is looking at your text message, but they also maybe got a call from somebody else, and they're going to talk to both people at the same time. You want to be the one that's going to actively engage with them first, because that's most likely to get you the deal.
Yeah. So Jim is representative from our customer success team. We're gonna pop into launch control for a few minutes, and we're
Yeah.
gonna talk about retargeting leads from your CRM. So I want to give a couple of caveats here. What we're going to show you, like everything that Kevin just described, that's the vast majority of real estate investment companies, or more or less all of them, focus all of their follow-up on speed of response, of following up right away, like Kevin said, and then the ability to close out deals in maybe a 30 to 60-day window.
Mhm.
After that 60-day window, interest, understandably, from their teams starts to wane. And so in a CRM system, you end up stacking up these unconverted leads.
Mhm.
And the difficulty of these unconverted leads is, let's say that we're just talking about, for Sarah's question, some of the passive marketing leads that are coming in, like from direct mail and PPC. Let's say on average, out of 100 of those leads that you put into your CRM, or that come into your CRM through those channels, you're going to, if you close, say, 2 to 4 land deals out of that 100, you're doing pretty good, right? Which means that you've got 96 motivated people that were at least kicking the tires to see what could be available through an off-market deal, unconverted, right? And there's a good chance, this is more anecdotal than data based, but there's a good chance that they're just not ready to sell. It might take 6 months before they come around, 8 months until they come around. So there's a lot of value in continuing in a value-based way of nurturing those leads, not saying, hey, do you want to sell for cash? Hey, do you want to sell for cash? Every 2 weeks. Nobody likes to be poked incessantly, right? But being able to add some value to bring them around. Now, the main caveat that I'll give you is this: if you're building a lifestyle business and that's what your aim is for, then Pebble, or whichever CRM you choose, but certainly Pebble, because I'm most familiar with it, has all of the tools you need within the CRM to do exactly what Jim and I are going to show you. But if you're running a larger shop, that clutter within the CRM, the honest truth is that if you're running a team, they're just not going to get to a lot of those leads that have fallen into kind of the nurture space. So there's an opportunity to add some efficiency to your CRM by exporting some of that nurture out to launch until they're ready to re-engage. And then at that point, you have the ability to put them once again front and center with you or your team. So let's go through a little bit of this, Jim, and just kind of give them an idea of what we're talking about. Take these messages, you guys, with a grain of salt. Like, we put these together as very general messages, but I'll kind of talk you through the concept. Okay, Jim, you ready to do this?
Ready?
All right, good. All right, so the idea being, let's say those example that I gave is, let's say every quarter for your business, every few months, we'll use a simple number and we'll say 100 leads that didn't convert in the first 60 days. And you want to put them on a nurture campaign. You want to get to them through text. So if you export those names, you put them into launch control. We have the system in launch control where they don't hit your inbox until they engage, right? But we have 3 touch points that we can take advantage of in that window. So you can set this up as a day one, and then because these are going to be much smaller lists, it's a single batch from your launch control account, and there can be much smaller lists, and these are recipients that have already had contact from your organization. Your team's called them. They called them within 5 minutes. It just happened to not close, right? So we just want to give them a little nudge. And if they answer that nudge and they reply via text, now you've got a live lead again. And then at that point, Kevin, at this point, like my advice is always, even if they're going to re-engage through the CRM, my advice is always to keep any thread that you have open, right? So if someone is engaging via launch control and they're engaging via that number that ends in 6742, keep that open, right?
Yep.
Just because they responded doesn't mean that you immediately push them back to the CRM and call them or text them from another number. Keep that text number open. You still want to call them, right? And you're going to want to connect those leads and call them from Pebble, and you're going to want to re-engage with them as more of a live lead. But keep the text thread open anyway, because if at any point that conversation drops, you still got an open channel with them. So you never close a thread if you have the opportunity to keep a thread open, right? And so what we can do, because again, it's smaller batches and less intrusive because these are opted in leads, we can shorten the window of response time. So we can you can do it in a 1 day, 15 day, 30 sequence with Jim or his team's approval, or even a 1, 7, 14 day sequence, depending on the lead type that you have in the system. Now, if they reply and they get into the inbox, right? My advice for any of these retargeting leads was anybody that responds, anybody that gets back into the inbox, that becomes within the CRM, that becomes a reheated lead or a hot lead, and what is it called when a lead is like a primary lead in Pebble, Kevin? I don't remember.
Yeah, we call it an active lead. So
active.
It's your active lead, yeah.
So it's just it becomes an active lead again, right? And your team's following up, and it kicks off. You would want to have per that set of tasks that Kevin outlined in the beginning. You'd want to have a set of tasks very specific to follow up items for retargeted leads. Like, what are the steps that you're going to do? Have a game plan in Pebble for how anybody that re-hits the inbox and launch, how you're going to engage with them. But simultaneously, what we want to do is we want to put everybody onto a value-based drip campaign. So this isn't, remember, the idea of the initial message is just to get them into the inbox. That's it, right? We want them into the inbox so we consider them reactive. But as land investors, or even like distressed property investors, if you're doing a bit of both, building trust and making people understand that this isn't something that they're being scammed. This is a legitimate business, legitimate land holding companies. These kind of deals happen in the tens of thousands every day, and they're just participating in that branch of real estate. You need to get them to understand that, right? So you can use that open thread with launch control. If Jim, do you want to bring up the drip automation, or if it's not already, I can't really see on the screen.
Here it is.
Okay, yeah. So it can be as simple as a 3-message drip campaign, but what you want to do in these messages, and everybody that re-hit the inbox is going to get this and stay on this. Think of it the same way that you would use an email campaign, where it's all viable information. You want everyone to get all of that information, and they go all the way through. So there's no need to take them off of this drip campaign, right? We want this to be background information that they receive. Now, how you structure these is really based around the kind of value that your organization offers. So if you have, for instance, testimonials with clients that you've worked with in the area saying, yeah, I worked with Kevin and his team. I was a little leery going in, but you know what? It was the best possible solution for me in the end. It's called social proof. That social proof is invaluable. And so if you can have that and you can seed it into a drip automation, that can help build trust. And there are additional ways that you can go through this in your business of just adding these value-based messages that do not require a response, but do add legitimacy and trust to your organization. Just let that run in the background. So that's happening while your team via Pebble is calling and engaging in that set of action items via Pebble. And the combination of the two will help you close a lot more deals. Now, if you think about just the simple mathematics of this, right? If you take those 100 leads every quarter, 400 leads a year that you are bringing back into launch from your other marketing channels. These are coming in from direct mail, from PPC, whatever passive marketing that you're doing. And again, whether you do this within Pebble itself, because you're a solo entrepreneur, you're running a lifestyle shop, or you're running something bigger and you want to outsource it through launch control. You just think about the math of that. If every quarter you're nurturing 100 leads and you close 2 deals from that, right? It's 2% of those leads that come in. And let's say that the national average for a land deal is 10K. Obviously, some are going to be a lot more, some might be a little bit less, but let's just use for simple math 10K. And that's $20,000 every quarter extra that you're adding into your business, or $80,000 by the end of the year, just by nurturing 400 leads. So 80 grand for a lot of people is a light lifestyle business, right? So taking these nurture actions and using the tools that you have available within your systems can add a lot of consistency and profitability to your business. And to bring it full circle, it goes right back to where Kevin started, which is documentation, right? And you have that in your processes and you document it, that any lead that gets beyond 30 days or beyond 60 days is either going to go into a long-term nurture in Pebble or export it out to launch to keep your system clean, clean and focused for your team, and then only reactivated leads get pushed back in. You can take either path, but it's in your documentation and becomes part of your processes so that you can get that extra 80, 100 grand rolling into your business on a repetitive basis.
Yeah, super important. And this is what I see a lot of people just don't do a great job of. They've got these leads that came in, they've talked to them, there's been some form of rapport built up, and then things just fall off and you just don't remember to go back to them. There's a gold mine in those leads. And so if you can capitalize on it, yeah, super important.
So Kevin, I know we're going to wrap this up in just a few minutes here. I know we have a few QR codes to share with people. You guys had that land business assessment. If you want to pull that up, and then the slide after that, I'll give people a couple links to connect with us as well.
Yes, let me, 1 second. Oh, hold on here.
And obviously, for everybody that's attending, last chance to ask questions, get them in now. We'll also, of course, be monitoring the replay. If you're watching this as a replay, just pop your questions into the comments. We'll monitor those and get to those as we can.
Yes. All right. Let me pull this up. So yeah. So what I want to give to you all as a sort of a thank you for hanging out here. We built this little survey to sort of check where you are in your business. So a lot of people come to talk to us. They just don't know where they are and whether they even need to be thinking about a CRM and whether they need to be thinking about these things. So if you are like that and you want to know where you are on your journey, we've built a little survey called the Land Business Assessment. And this is based off of all the information that we've managed to pull together from the countless businesses that we have talked to. And we put together this little assessment to sort of show you where you are on your journey and where you might need to think about going next. So it's sort of a little quiz scorecard, and we'll give you sort of your next important thing to be focused on. So if you go to pebblerei.com/LBA for Land Business Assessment, you can hit that QR code there, and that will take you to that little quiz. Just takes a few minutes. Again, completely free. Just give you a quick score on what your business is looking like today. And cool. Next we have we've got the Pebble website, pebblerei.com. You can hit that there. And then if you are ready to scale your business with launch control, start making those text messages, you can go to that one on the right. And Michael, maybe you have a few things to say about that.
Yeah, no. So that, I mean, that's gonna, if you're looking to just do a little more research into text engagement and how it might fit your business, then definitely scan that QR code and schedule a time with our team. But if you know you want to get started, I just put a link. It's in the episode description or the workshop description, but it's also in the chat. Last comment there in the chat. That will go directly to the booking calendar for our team. Just let them know that you participated in this workshop and you're looking to get some more information either on land week strategies or implementing text for your business. They've got times available today, so go ahead and jump on that and connect with the team. All right, well, Kevin, I really appreciate this. I think that this especially for everyone that was able to watch each of the workshops that we put together this week. I think that this really kind of gives everything a home. You do your education, the stuff that Seth Williams taught, and you know which markets you're going to focus on, and you know what kind of due diligence you're going to do in those markets and for those properties. That due diligence checklist that Seth put together, that just gets transferred over to Pebble, and it gets put into, as we said, whether I like the term or not, your single source of truth, right?
Mhm.
And it's there and it's actionable in Pebble. We went through market and data analysis with the guys at Priced. Those data strategies that you come up with the data provider, that again gets mapped into Pebble, and you've got that central point for your strategy, and it's tailored and customized to what you want to do for your business. And then we talked to Jaron Barnes yesterday from Land Maverick Society, and he's got certain cadences that he follows using launch control. He's got certain action items to follow on the call script. All of that again goes into that center point for your business. So it really builds up to this moment of putting everything into that central location and having those actionable set of tasks to do for your business, so that you can again track the full customer journey or client journey for each of your land deals, and just get better and better and make it easier and easier.
Yeah, awesome. I was really excited to see all the familiar faces on the other talks this week. Just some real incredible information that's here. So really cool that you've all been able to be a part of that.
Oh yeah, and I guess I should say this as well, as the last thing. If you guys follow up on any of Pebble's social media, especially on their Facebook page, that idea for Land Week and stringing this together, I blatantly stole from them. They put together great presentations for land investors as well, so you can go back and watch those resources on their channel. I think that there'd be a lot of value in that too.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that's it. Thanks everyone for attending. We really appreciate it. Again, if you're watching the replay, don't hesitate to pop your questions into the comments. We'll track those and get to them. And other than that, have a wonderful afternoon, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.